Because you've built so many businesses and I know you've had a lot of roller coaster ride. Will you share for people, let's say like pre six figure, what are some of the biggest stumbling blocks you see as people are building their companies?
No planning.
Okay.
I did it myself. No planning. Zero planning for what you're building, right? And what I mean by that is there's six basic aspects into a business, right? And we end up gravitating into a few of them. And when you're building into six figures, you can sheer will yourself to that, right? Like you can do $10,000 worth of business a month. Doesn't mean you're making $10,000, obviously, but you can drive that out of sheer will and hard work, right? With zero planning. And it's almost pretty much most businesses. And what I would tell you is that like where I see most self-employed people, right? They're not business owners, they're self-employed in that realm, is that they don't plan on all six things. They're like, oh, I'll figure that out later. One of them usually is accounting, right? QuickBooks, accounting. I'll find somebody. I don't know how to do that. I'll worry about it later. I'll turn in my box of bank statements and random receipts to a CPA at the end of the year, like I used to do, and just manage out of my bank account. And so what I would say is that like you need to have a purposeful driven weekly meeting, even if you're the only employee, right? And you need to have that time set aside to work on things inside of your business that are causing any kind of issues. If you don't worry about it and you can compartmentalize that time. But also you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got operations, you have customer service, you have accounting, and you have human resources, right? And so as you bring in as you're planning these things, you say, okay, in 1 year from now, I want to have 3 employees and I want to do $250,000 in revenue. And I want to back into how I'm going to deliver that, where I'm going to get the customers, where are my people at, how much am I going to charge? Like as you go in and break those things up, at that point, you've got a plan, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't be perfect. Because if you write a perfect business plan, you've been working on it way too long. And guess what? The second you go hit the ground, your perfect business plan is going to blow up, right? But and you're going to be upset. What I would say is a shorter plan with more action will always win. I have a little stick it note here that my daughter wrote for me because I am constantly telling them little business stuff, but I don't know if you can see it, but it says hard work beats knowledge when knowledge doesn't work hard. Right. And it's all
That's
spelled like
awesome.
all total 5-year-old thing. And so I've kept that for like 3 years because I love that idea that like you got to go out and do the things, but you do have to have some planning. So if someone says it's all action, no planning, you're going to have a problem. If you have all planning and no action, you're going to have a problem. You need to make a plan, make the measurables of when you can look back at it and see what went right and what went wrong, and then review your plan and then rewrite your plan. Right. It's okay to do that. It's much better to do that because at that point you're in a different place in the way you see the world. Like, I don't know if you've ever read a book and then like, I don't know, 10 years later read it again.
Yeah. Totally different insights. Yeah.
Oh, you're completely different, right? You get something totally different out of the book because the book didn't change though.
Yeah.
Your paradigm changed, right? The way you see the world has changed and you have changed. And so to expect that we don't do that with our businesses is the same is just it's crazy to me because you are not the same person a year from now, right?
So even a month from now is when especially when you're in the startup phase of a business. I love that you're saying this because I switched as I've built my business and helped people build their businesses successfully. I've gone from like when I very first started, I spent 5 days like planning and setting goals, and then it was like month 1 in, everything changed. It was exactly that. And so now I do with people, I'm like, okay, you set your vision for the year loosely, and then you have that timeline, like, okay, I want to get here by this year, and then I do 30-day plans of action, because it's like you can't see beyond that, especially when and you're practicing the process of perfection. Perfection isn't like, oh, I go from here to perfect. You go practice, 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 and it's always a process.
Oh yeah, like the chef was a busboy, right? Like that's one of the things you got to remember.
Totally.
Like you have to the fact that you even did a business plan puts you in like a small category of like of entrepreneurs. Okay, so like, and then the fact that now you're revisiting it, that you can revisit. The more you can revisit that plan, it's it's going to do wonders for you, because
Yeah.
you're taking that time to look at the company and say, okay, here's what we did right. Here's where we got it wrong. It's not bad to be wrong at all.
To listen to the full episode, head on over to nfacoaching.com, hit the podcast link, and it'll take you to all of the full episodes. And go ahead and leave some comments. I'd love to hear from you to know how these inspirational interviews, tips, and tools are impacting you in your life and business. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of the Max Potential Habits episodes.